welcome to the stage from the other side of the country, Bonni, Cohen, and John Shenk.
It's great to be here representing the Bay Area with all of our New York friends. It's really an honor. We couldn't be more thrilled to be up here to introduce our dear friend, and just do this, put it back up for you in a second, to introduce our dear friend and who we consider to be a national treasure, Peter Nix. Our mutual mentor, John Else, tells the story of receiving Pete's application for his graduate work in documentary film at Berkeley many years back, and remembers taking notice of this applicant from Howard University whose transcript began with straight A's. That was freshman year. It crashed down to D's and F's his sophomore year, followed by this 2-year gap of silence and a sort of a cryptic note attached about something about prison. And that was followed by straight A's and a huge course load his junior and senior year. And John says that he immediately knew that this was a guy he wanted in his class. Pete went on to be John's most prized student, present company excluded. And they worked together on his first film, The Wolf, which was about those 2 lost years he described in his application.
About 10 years ago, Pete embarked on an ambitious artistic endeavor to humanize the complex public institutions of his adopted hometown of Oakland, California. We remember him looking us with that Pete Nix spark in his eye and saying, "It's going to be a trilogy, you know." He started shooting in the waiting room of Highland Hospital that year and finished this past year in Oakland High School as the COVID pandemic blew up and Black Lives Matter movement ignited, and Pete found himself in the middle of his own family tragedy.
But Pete's resolve never wavered. He never shies away from clear-eyed scene-making, holding raw emotion and uncomfortable interactions at the center of his films, and sometimes he even has a sense of humor. We feel Pete's personality and humanity shining through in all of the frames that he shoots. His commitment to observational storytelling is pure. He enters a world as a trusted party, and he participates as a photographer, a director, a choreographer, and a social worker in the winning combination that we all strive for in our work.
The Washington Post called The Waiting Room subtle, a compassionate tableau that lifts the veil on a world often described in terms of squalor and despair, finding the inherent dignity and perseverance therein. In an attempt to create a bridge between the African American community and the embattled police in Oakland that are supposed to protect them, Pete doubled down on his search for the truth in the film The Force and won the Sundance Directing Prize that year. In his high school documentary, Homeroom, dedicated to his daughter Karina, once again, Pete turned the camera on an institution only to remind ourselves that institution is full of complex people. Their disadvantages and disappointments in the students' lives fuels their fight for equity and justice. And that's Pete in a nutshell. From prison to Sundance, from deep personal loss to an inspiring contribution to our nation's most important conversations. What makes most people shut down fuels the creative vision of Peter Nix.
We're honored to call Pete a friend of the last 20 years. We've worked alongside him, we've raised our families together, and we join with all of you today in honoring his incredible contributions to our field. Let's watch a short reel of his work.